Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Sorry I haven't been posting, but I'm taking care of a family member that's actually in the hospital. You know, when your family gets sick, that's a priority. So you gotta take care of your loved ones, take care of your friends, take care of yourself, and make sure everything's all good in your life before you prioritize things on the internet and all this. Crypto and all of that stuff. Make sure your mental health, make sure your physical health, make sure your friends and family are all in good shape, and don't neglect real life, right? All of this, whether it's a bull or a bear, it doesn't mean anything unless your family is safe and sound, and your friends are happy, and you're happy, and you're living the life that you want to live. Don't get trapped in crypto Twitter. Don't get trapped in the charts, and don't think that the ups and downs in the market are your life. I know for some of you, that's something that's very obvious, but for others especially those who have been in this market for a long time, and a lot of their social networks are involved in crypto, and a lot of their self-esteem is involved with whether they're up or whether they're down. And those who maybe often brag or feel really bad when a call that they make doesn't work out, try to let that stuff roll off your back, like water, off the feathers of a duck. It's just um, it's just a temporary blip, okay? Like, no matter where you are in this market, you can come back. Crypto is one of the most forgiving markets that there is. As long as you take it easy and, follow a plan, have your plan to the upside and have your plan to the downside. That's something that I've been emphasizing time and time again. I've been emphasizing you have your plan, you work on validations, you don't work on calls. If someone's just giving you calls, don't listen to that person. That person is going to screw you over, okay? If they're just giving calls, especially if it's up only, like that person is going to screw you over, okay? You want to take care of your life, you want to put food on the table, you want to keep things in balance, you want to walk away from the charts. And you want a plan where you can validate things. If you get to a certain price point, then you're going to be bullish. You break down from a certain price point, then you're going to be bearish. And it's not a political party. It's not a religious stance. It's just you're trading the market. Okay. In this case, we are starting to break down. This can be considered just a very typical pullback. Of course, the market is freaking out. Probably a lot of you lost all the gains that you've been making in the last week because a lot of your alts are probably very sensitive to these moves that Bitcoin is making. But let's hope that you're still in good shape at least, and that you do have stop losses, that got triggered so you didn't lose too much. And of course, if you're up on a coin, always consider to put your stop loss at your entry price. So the worst that you could do is break even, right? Like as soon as you start making money on a coin, move your stop loss up to the entry price, and you should be fine, right? But for those of you just learning this lesson, it can be a harsh lesson. You can feel like all of the emotional ups and downs are really draining on you. And I understand, I really do. We've all been through that. It's all a learning curve. And you just have to remember, that's why I emphasize just, in the first few months that you're trading, even up to 6 months, just use $100 at a time. Don't use thousands of dollars because you can get wiped out in just one morning. You can get just wiped out. You might be getting very confident over a series of days or even weeks. Look, this bull run, this is a bull run, right? This bull run was basically starting back here on the 13th, the 11th. What is this? Yeah, around there. Pardon me. And now it's the 30th, right? So you had like several weeks of a bull run, and you might be feeling so good compared to entries that you took over here or even up here. And, a lot of that just got wiped away, and some of your friends might be joining up here, and, people are saying it might go to 55,000, it might go to 70,000. Man, I saw these stupid YouTubers who operate like cults, these up-only guys. Man, they were talking about like $300,000 again. I mean, what planet do these guys live on? What planet do these guys live on? You guys, you're trading. You're trading primarily on the daily, okay? I mean, let's face it. Most of you guys, can't take your eyes off the charts, and you're trading on the daily. And don't let the moon boys corrupt your way of thinking, all right? Just wanted to spend a little time on this because I know on a day like this that's, pretty red, a lot of people are going to be hurting. And, luckily we haven't fallen, all the way down, which look, this is something that we can do. This is something that we can do. It's very possible that we fall all the way back down, right? We could have a fall like this. This could be the next leg down of this, right? You don't know. Don't 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 just stand there and say like for sure it's not going to happen. You don't know. So you have to have your plan, right? Use days like these as lessons in order to have your plan, in order to remind yourself to take profit when you can take profit. I want to go ahead and jump over to the fractal that I made. Let's see here. Yep, this is the right chart. So this isn't really a fractal so much as it is an algorithm, right? And of course, an algorithm is a series of logic that plays out reliably, and it's just been playing out ever since I first identified it back here in November, and confirmed it in December, and it's just been playing out time and time again. And what did I say? What did I say? There's likely going to be a pump in this area, and that likely within, we were down here when I was talking about it the first time, and then I was considering how long it would take to get to the top of this. And I was saying, look, it's going to be a minimum of 3 days. And then I said, this point doesn't look right. This isn't a proper pump. We've been getting like 30% pumps. We've been getting, 10% is basically the minimum, 15%, 15%. So this 10%, it didn't look right. It wasn't even. It wasn't level with this first, pump. I did a bunch of videos on this algorithm that I developed. And so, I mean, this has been the cheat code for Bitcoin. This has been the cheat code for Bitcoin all the way back since November. If you just followed this, you could have been a multimillionaire just following this algorithm, right? You didn't need harmonics, you didn't need EMAs, you didn't need anything, right? Just understanding the psychology and the logic of how Bitcoin trades, how Bitcoin traders trade Bitcoin. And, of course, this took a very, creative kind of thinking, and it's very particular to Bitcoin. This doesn't translate to any other trading. This is just a very specific, right? And so, of course, it's not useful for other coins. But since Bitcoin is the leader, understanding this psychology is, is super important in terms of understanding what might happen next and just having a little bit of confluence. Not not confirmation, none of this is confirmation, just confluence, so that if we do make a move, you can be a little bit more assured that you're on the right track. And look, of course I carved out this big area because look how big this area is, right? And I said the pump that we had to 10, that 10% pump up, I mean, it could have been the top, because in the past we've had, pumps that were as small as 10%, but this was a very small formation, and this was a large formation. And so I was saying, I don't think it's going to be. I think we need to make this box bigger and taller, and it's going to be somewhere up here. And so I don't think the 3-day model is going to play out, which some of these only took like 3 days, like this small 10% one. But it's going to be more similar to like this 30% one. Let's see how much we actually did, because I'm just updating this now. I'm looking at this again with you. So yep, yep, yep. We pumped 30%, almost 30%. Wow, what a surprise. We pumped 30% here. What a surprise, that the psychology translates from one section of Bitcoin to another 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 section of Bitcoin. And that you can pretty much, understand the logic of the traders that are trading this asset. They're using the same bots, they're the same people, they're the same institutions. It's just this was more bullish market and this was a more bearish market, right? That's all. And of course, we don't know what the bullishness is going to project, how it's going to project upward, because we've only followed this algorithm in a downtrend, and this is the first time it's been in an uptrend. You can see this whole box is higher than the previous one. But what we're doing is, after that 30%, which was the maximum pump we've ever had on these series, we suddenly started to break down, right? We suddenly started to break down. And every single time we've broken down, let me make this bigger. Every single time we've broken down, we've fallen 20%, right? 20%, 20%. I mean, you guys know what's coming up. 20% drop. So let me just adjust this one, because this is where I thought we might pump to. Just, like using an average of, between 15 to 30, like just somewhere around here. But we almost did a full 30. Let's see, we did, okay, 28, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it depends where you pull this to, but we were using these three, like a buy-in boxes here, right? And so you can say that, we can move this up to the top of it. Let's just move it to the very top, okay? And hey, look, I already have this yellow circle already here, okay? Look at that. I totally forgot I had that. So yeah, this yellow circle would indicate the kind of region that we would expect a breakdown to fall to, okay? And that would be $38,250. All right? $38,250. I don't know if this is going to play out. I have no guarantee for it. It's just a little bit of confluence that if we break down to $38,250, or approximately in that area, right? This could be off by a few $100, by $500, something like that. But let's say that this 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20% breakdown every single time is reliable. Let's just say it's reliable. If it's reliable, and if we hit this pink box and we maxed it out at that 30%, which was the maximum we ever pumped on those, and we started to curve around, well, if you understood this algorithm, which I've been explaining to you multiple times, right? I told you had multiple chances to buy in here, multiple take profit points, and then you have two big take profit points, is what I said. Before this even played out, I told you that. Likely you're going to have two major take profit points, one here and one here. And you better take your profit, because if you don't, you're going to have a major breakdown here, which these ones on average have been up to 20%, but somewhere around 15%, 10, 15, 20%. And then you always have a final one that's 20%. And so if the market wants to take 20% profit back from you, this is what it starts to look like. Now, what's one thing that we can see also on this algorithm? I mean, I hope you're seeing this stuff, guys. I hope you're paying attention because this could save your portfolio. And I'm not saying that you should trade on it. I'm just saying that being cautious because of this algorithm that I developed, being cautious is warranted. You see? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? There was two chances. There was two peaks on each of these final sell opportunities. And look how they're spread out, all right? It's an M formation. And the second peak is going to be lower than the first peak. And that's going to be a dead giveaway. Why? Because if you have a lower high, that suggests you're in a downtrend, right? It suggests you're in a downtrend. And so where would I put a lower high here? Well, let's go ahead and just examine this part of the algorithm because we can identify these things. This box is meaningless. The box itself is meaningless. There's no time constraint on this, right? Here I was saying that we're likely not going to have a 3% move. We're going to have, I mean, a 3-day move. We were likely going to have a 10-day move or more before we reached the top. And look, we did. I mean, it took I was projecting 10 days. In the future you should start to consider to take profit. And it ended up being okay, fine. It was 12 days, not 10 days. Sue me, you know. I'm using an algorithm that I made up, right? It took 10 days instead of 12. I mean, it took 12 days instead of 10 days. And then that was the sign when you reached the top, right? When you stopped pumping, when you started to turn around. See, this was straight up. This was almost straight up. There was no retrace here. This was almost straight up. It's just the most basic, tiniest, retrace, right? Time to take your profit when we enter this zone, right? At the top of it. And so that doesn't mean that you get out of the market. It just means you keep your stop losses very tight and understand you might have one more chance. If you did screw up and you didn't have stop losses and you started to drop down just like this, you might have one more chance, right? One more chance. You get it. So what might that look like? Maybe something like this, maybe, right? I can't guess exactly where it's going to be, but I can tell you that most likely, if this algorithm holds up, most likely we're going to put in a low. We're going to put in a low and then a lower high, and then we're going to break down 20% if this happens. Now, what would make me think that this algorithm was going to be something different? Well, what if we put in a higher high? What if for the first time ever in this pattern, we put in a higher high instead of a lower high? We might still break down 20%, but that might suggest some bullishness and that we'd come back. Or maybe it might suggest that we don't break down 20% this time. Maybe it means the curse is broken, right? And maybe we just come down to, maybe 44,000 at some type of support level around here. That's what a lot of people are betting on. But then again, a lot of people thought, that we might, bounce here, and we did continue to just fall. Let's go to another chart. Let's take a look at that one more time. 20%. Approximately in this yellow circle I had. 38,000-ish. 38 to 39,000. Which is pretty confident with a lot of support over here. A level you probably really don't want to lose is 39,300-ish. And kind of a last line of defense is this 34,500-ish. But yeah, falling to 44,000 would be ideal because we would just be retesting the breakout. And we're almost there. We kind of are there. But again, if we do retest this breakout, right? If this is a top level and we're just retesting the breakout and we come up and then we get rejected, then there's a high likelihood that we could fail, right? That we could fail in this one. And so let's go to another chart. Where are we where are we doing that at? Right where I said we would, right? Here's that fib line. And I wasn't joking around. Look at this. We're walking down it. We're walking down the fib line and we broke under. And look, exactly where did we wick to, right? Where did we wick to right here? Right to that line, right? So I don't know, is this on a fib or log or whatever? I think it's log. So that looks pretty accurate. And maybe this zone that I carved out, it was just the zone that we would pump to. I figured we'd get to here and then we would start breaking down. I didn't know we would hold over it. I thought maybe we would break under it, but we are under it now. And it's just because every time we've had a diagonal fib, I'm not talking about the horizontal fibs. Every time we've had a diagonal fib, we've always broken down. And so I would expect, if this holds true, if we're breaking down under this fib, under this diagonal fib, I would expect that we break down 20%. Right? And where does that bring us to? Kind of this middle of this area right here, right? At the bottom of this area, which is that kind of important area. So hey, maybe we can hold that. Maybe we can hold that, and maybe it's basically something like this, right? Look, that's basically the bottom of the area that I'm talking about. And maybe we just pump back up. Maybe we do. But if we get rejected from the 382, now I'm talking about the horizontal ones, not the diagonal fibs, but if we do get rejected from this 382, that's a very bearish fib to get rejected from, right? So again, I did this last time. If you invert the chart, and if you want to talk about a bullish chart, you would say, oh, all right, just a healthy pullback, and then we continue on our way. Yeah, that's a very bullish chart. Look at that. That's very healthy. Very healthy for a chart to do that. Oh wait, this chart's upside down. This is the Bitcoin chart, right? And so what did I say? Take your profits every time you can. Whatever coin you're on, guys, take your profits every single time you can until we break through this fib, because we have two fibs here. We have two fibs crossing at one point. This fib extends infinitely. This is not this is a diagonal fib, okay? There's no, it doesn't matter where on this line that we hit it. Like we could have hit it here, we could have hit it down here, we could have hit it anywhere, and it would have been a likely rejection or retest at a minimum. The fact that we hit it precisely on the 382 retrace, which is a bearish retrace, That's not good. We're getting rejected from that. We tried to hold it, but we're getting rejected from it. And you can say this is just a pullback, and it's fine. Maybe it is just a pullback. Because one thing that I wasn't expecting is that we would hold on top of it. That's interesting. That's pretty interesting that we held on top. Look at all these wicks. It's just doing its best to try to hold on to this level. And although it lost it, and although it's breaking under the diagonal fib, it is doing its best to hold on. And if this is a true bull run, it may find a way to push through. Okay, like this isn't the last word on this. Like, I'm not saying we're going down. Okay, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen. What I'm saying is take your profit anytime you can until we bullishly hold above this, right? And then when we enter this other area, these areas above it, again, just take your profits when you can, because we can also break down from here, which, it might be a bullish breakdown like this one, right? We kept going, but it was a traumatic one. A lot of people lost all of their gains that they gained from this run up. They lost all of it here because you lose gains faster than you make gains. It's just how market fear works. That's why this thing drops vertically, right? It drops vertically here. Just you lose like everything. You lose everything you accumulated here just in this drop, And the second drop just makes sure that the job is done. And then the big money has your money, right? They took your money and then they run with it again. So this can happen again in this area, this type of turnaround, the sudden drops, if it doesn't happen here. Right? It will happen eventually. You don't just go straight up. It will happen eventually. But until we get to these lower levels, like 45,000 and start breaking under 45,000, I'm not too worried. This could just be a healthy pullback, and so I've marked this channel, right? Kind of this channel that we're in. Yeah, we had some exuberant pop here. We did here also, right? This kind of defined the top of a range. And we started to move up pretty bullishly. Maybe we're just coming down to test the bottom here. Maybe 45,000, almost exactly 45,000. That would be within the buffer range I created, and it would be on top of this diagonal support. And it would retest the horizontal, support that we have here when we flipped this. So there's a very good support region in here, kind of a confluence of supports, where if we do continue bullishly, we might not be done dropping yet, not 100% sure, but if we're not, we do have some support here to possibly make another decision. But if you start breaking down from this area, and especially if you lose 44,000, you may consider that we may be dropping the full 20% down. Okay, so just think about it. This episode's already a bit longer than what I'd like. I want to try to make shorter videos in the future, but I do feel it's necessary to kind of give these warnings because you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen in the market. And let's just go ahead and take a look at some of these coins that we've been following, like a Qredo. What did I say? If we held, above 275, we're going to be looking bullish. Look at this. It's coming right back. It smashed all the way down. We went to 313, exactly to my take profit zone. Guys, this is why you have to be taking profits, right? You could have taken profit there. I was taking care of a family member in the hospital. I couldn't take profit on this, right? You buy in here, you take profit here. And look, we lost our support on this, on these kind of wedges that we've been building. And, if you're going to reclaim it as support, you can consider to buy back in there if we use it as support. Which, look at this, it came right to my diagonal. Like I'm not talking out of my ass, right, guys? Look at this. This is too perfect. Look, it wicked exactly to this purple zone, right? That's my confirmation zone. If we start to break out of this wedge, if we started breaking out of this consolidation formation, if we start breaking out bullishly, this is the last area that you have to buy in, right? You don't have to buy in the middle. Don't let anyone just push you into this stuff. You don't have to full port into this thing. Let it play out. Here's the curve that I said would play out. If we're bullish, this is the curve that I said would play out. And that curve corresponds to EMAs. I'm not talking out of I'm not just making this stuff up. It corresponds to how the EMAs are creating a squeeze. And as long as we stay over 275, we have the potential to have a squeeze to the upside, right? Let's see the weekly here. Let's turn off these candles. Let's turn off the drawings. You can see it's a very complicated formation on the weekly. Let's see the 5-day. 5-day, you have more of the structure. You can see you're getting squeezed down here to the upside, right? If as soon as you get a positive curvature on these ones down here, you're gonna have a massive squeeze to the upside possible. And if this yellow one flattens out, 3-day, still a little complicated, but this is it's still complicated. 3-day, 5-day, weekly, all of this stuff looks very similar. It's pointed down right now, but there is a mix of this kind of like uptrend, right? So the EMAs are kind of ushering you down, but they're starting to be, they're starting to be trained upwards. So that's why Qredo's taking time, okay? And here you can see a pretty nice formation where the 200s are pretty flat. And then this bottom side is just like well, it's kind of like a double bottom, triple bottom. And as long as we don't lose this, right? Like as long as it doesn't feel like something like that, like right here, then we're going to get squeezed to the upside. Going to get squeezed to the upside. Because this one moves slowly, this one moves fast. So if we move fast to the upside, we're going to start getting squeezed up. And you don't have to have any bias right now. This is just dead in the middle of the range. Why did I create this range for you? Because I don't want you influenced by stupid moon boys, and I don't want you to be influenced by doom boys either, like saying, like the market's just gonna die, we're going to zero. No, we're not going to zero. But we're also maybe not going to the moon, guys. I showed you we could have a pullback. And so anytime you get up here, take your profit. Buy back when we do a return or when we find support on a diagonal or something, right? Buy back, if we end up on this curve and we're just following this curve up slowly, then buy back whenever we're on this curve or around this curve, right? And when we break out of this formation, if we get wedged up here and we're about to break out, that's your last big buy-in, because your buy-in zone, right, which started down here and moved up here and moved up here and moved up here, could be here next, right? Your buy-in zone is going to merge with your profit zone, and so your next profit zone is up here or up here, okay? And so when treat your buy-in zone with respect, and if you break this buy-in, if you break this sell zone, then it becomes your buy zone for the next level, because you've graduated to the next level, right? And you can wait for a confirmation of a breakout, or but if it started to just go, If it starts to just go and doesn't come back, then, you have to make your own decisions. You have to make your own decisions about that. But look, you put food on your table, you put food on your table, you put food on your table, put food on your table. And if this market goes to hell, hey, you fed your family for 3 months, right? As opposed to just hopeful thinking, wishful thinking. Don't forget, Bitcoin can turn around. Bitcoin can drop 20%. If Bitcoin drops 20%, this thing is going down, not up. It's going down. I showed you the algorithm. I'm not trying to be mean to anyone who loves this coin. I'm trying to make you realistic. Be realistic traders. And if Bitcoin just pumps, if Bitcoin breaks that algorithm that I showed you, and if it just decides to pump, then go ahead and buy in here and, follow the pump. The trend is your friend, my friend, until it ends. And so this trend is an uptrend in general. As long as we maintain this 275, right? We're not going to be breaking out of this curve. If we get lower than 260, I'm going to be concerned. If we get lower than 230, I'm going to be saying, hey, probably we're going to be buying in lower, right? Because if you break this curve, you're squeezing down. You're not squeezing up anymore. You're squeezing down. And we are still making lower highs. High, lower high, lower high, lower high. We could make another lower high. I personally believe we're going to get squeezed up. All the indications are that we should get squeezed up. But again, if Bitcoin decides to go down, Bitcoin will pull the rest of the market with you. Be realistic. What do we see on Kadena? Oh, look, retesting the bottom again. What a surprise. This is just purple because it's in the middle of my macro zones. But anytime we were in this area, I said, hey, go ahead and buy. You can DCA in these areas, right? Even here, you could have DCA'd in. If you don't have to buy, the absolute bottom. If you did, congratulations, you got this level. That's amazing. You could buy here. And if you thought we were just going to spring up, you see these massive moves that Kadena makes, right? You could have DCA'd in there. You can consider zones, right? You can consider zones. But I made it purple because it's a bit vague, right? It's a bit vague. You wouldn't have enough information. Just like Qredo, you're in no man's land, right? So this is just a range you can trade, a consolidation range you can trade until we either pop up or pop down. Do I still have the fractal for this thing? That fractal was just for fun, right? It's not just for confluence. It's nothing else. You don't trade on it. But look, Bitcoin is in that 20% drop zone, and this fractal has a huge drop on it. How strong are algorithms in assets based on math? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But if you have like a wedge, right? If you have a wedge, first of all, the closer you get to the apex of the wedge, you probably don't need to be taking these trades, right? You can kind of just hold on to what you have down here and take profit on it. And then you can buy the confirmation or you can buy the breakdown, right? You can buy the breakout confirmation or you can buy the breakdown confirmation, right? When we start to get back into an uptrend. You don't have to buy the breakdown. You can buy the breakdown confirmation when we start going back up. You don't have to you don't have to sell a breakout. Why would you sell at a breakout, right? You sell if we have a confirmation that we're turning, back down so that you can sell at a pretty good price, or you sell at certain levels that you've marked off in advance as part of your plan for taking profits. And if you haven't bought in, then after we break out, we'll have a pullback. This is up, down, up, down, up, down, right? So we'll have some type of pullback somewhere, and you buy the pullback, right? Because it's a higher low, and you should go higher next. But if you really start pumping, then you put on a lower time frame, and you see if there's any pullbacks on a lower time frame. That's what I did with Zilliqa, right? So this path isn't like a curse that has to be fulfilled. Just a possibility. As long as Bitcoin is weak, it's a possibility. If Bitcoin goes strong, then Kadena may just pump, right? Although it hasn't been doing much. And neither has Qredo, quite frankly. Although Qredo has been putting in nice moves on a local level, which is why I was recommending trading it rather than just holding it. Because if the market turns down, you're going to be really happy you got all those 20% and 30% trades. Those are good trades. Let's see, Zilliqa. Come on, Zilliqa. I was saying this thing looked kind of like a channel, going all the way back to June. Well, actually, going back to early 2021. They just pumped this thing up, and then it went down to the bottom of the channel, testing the mid channel, retesting the bottom, and then pumped all the way back up to the top of the channel. It's like, is this thing gonna break down here? Why did I take my profit up here? Because I just made a theory like this. And ignore the jokes, that was just for my friend. But based upon this theory, and yeah, I could have used horizontal resistances, right? There's a nice resistance right here. Switch to the 5-day chart. All right, you see a lot of wicks in this area. All right, you can imagine that what's the lowest one over here right there? You can imagine we were gonna like reject off of this area. And probably we could heavily reject off of this area because the whole candle body's turned around there. And you might want to leave a little bit in the market in case we did take out our highs and start to make higher highs. Go to the weekly. You can see there's a level here. There's that wick, and then there's these top of these candles. And then there's also this area. And so all these levels were kind of like concentrated right up here, whereas this area had very few. And so you could imagine like this corresponding with a diagonal channel that you can imagine is being carved out. It was just a very good idea to take your profit here. And hey, you're probably glad that you did because it fell 14%. All right. So that's what I've been trading Zilliqa on the macro. Of course, there's one with a longer chart. I don't know what I'm trading this on, but let's see. If you go down to like the 15-minute, because this thing just pumped, right? So if you go down to the 15-minute, even if you prefer to trade on the daily, when something just pumps, you can see its formations playing out on a smaller time frame. And so on a smaller time frame, I was able to identify these buy-in areas. And in fact, I identified this one, but because of course, dealing with family in the hospital and that sort of thing, you can't just be trading all the time. Got to take care of your family first. But I identified this area, and I wish I had put a buy order in. I just forgot. I did identify it, and it kept with the same pattern that it had with these other ones. You see, it breaks down, and it kind of reaches the prior top of one of these outer formations. And so this was the top of this outer formation. And so I would have had another buy zone right, right there, right? At least on this one. And then right here would have been the one that you would really want to have set a buy order for, because it's kind of the stretch goal, right? The stretch goal. And yep, sure enough, we wicked right down to it. And sure enough, we're kind of consolidating in this area right here. And so this isn't BS, right? I'm telling you, this isn't BS. Like even if, look, that's 15-minute chart. Come on, trading on the 15-minute chart. Are you kidding me? But you can make a lot of money. What is this? From here to here, 25%, right? Being able to look at these things and see these things is very important. When would I expect this thing to pump again? Using my EMAs, right? You can use trend, but you can also just use your EMAs. Which one is this one bouncing off of? These blue lines, right? Where does your blue line lead here? Somewhere around here. So maybe April 1st? I don't know. Maybe April 1st-ish. This one curves a lot more, so maybe there's going to be more of a curve to it, right? See this kind of curve on the blue before it pumps? So just follow that blue up. Let's say that it starts curving and then does some type of takeoff. Then maybe we're talking about, this area right here. Oops. What the heck? And that would be maybe April 2nd. April 2nd. So April 1st, April 2nd. In a couple days, maybe we're going to have another takeoff. And so trading in this way can net you like 400, 500%, right? Even when it looks like this, when it looks like a vertical pump, right, on the daily chart. Turn off the EMAs. It just basically looks like a vertical pump. You might think, how can I trade this? How can I trade? I just showed you how you can trade it, right? I missed it. How can I trade it? It's too risky. How can I trade this? Yeah, I mean, you probably don't want to be chasing pumps, If you're just new, you probably don't want to be chasing pumps. But sometimes something is just having a run, right? Compare this to Qredo. Qredo is in a downtrend. No matter what you want to say about Qredo, it's in a downtrend. Lower high, lower high, lower high. It's in a downtrend, right? This is a clear uptrend. It's broken through every level. Now, this one is having higher lows, and so it's kind of also an uptrend. And it also has a macro higher low, so that's a macro uptrend. So this is bullish, but it's not doing anything, right? You don't need your assets all locked up. You don't need all your money locked up in Qredo. That's bad advice. Take your profit off of trades like this. And if you have a system that's working for something like this, or you have a chance to get into something like this when it starts to go, and you're seeing it's reaching critical levels or it's breaking levels, go for the bullish coins. Why would you waste your money being in a falling knife or being in, a sideways chart, which neither is bullish nor bearish, right? Like it's doing both at the same time. You can buy its confirmation. Like buy its confirmation and just trade its ranges. And with that profit, you can be, in coins that are bullish, that are moving. But that's up to you. Again, I'm mostly just talking to myself, kind of capturing the different ideas that I go through when I trade. Lets me have a little bit of self-analysis. I'm not an expert on these things. I'm just learning. I made a lot of mistakes in the past. The last year I've made so many mistakes, and I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to continuously learn, be a continuous learner, share what I've learned. And if any of you have ideas that you would like to share, or tips and tricks, things that you think could help me, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Appreciate all you guys for listening. That's your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.